So you're a recovering Catholic?
No. No, I'm not. I'm not Catholic. I'm not anything.
I don't know what is that higher power you're talking about. Is it God? What is that higher power?
There's another. So for me, I do not believe that the God of the Bible and the Creator is exactly the same.
Ooh, now you're opening another can of worms.
But I don't want to go there. But to answer your point, that's why I always say the Creator. Because if you think about it, there are certain things that you create, even you, without even realizing what you're creating them.
Yeah.
Right?
We learn every day, Paul. Did you know that?
I did.
White people were cruel, eh?
Oh.
Okay, you can edit that out.
Samanani, Dumelang, Akshen, Priamore. I'd like to welcome you to Spirit Matters with Ukuphahla. Today we are joined by our esteemed guest, Ms Philile Ngcobo. Ngcobo. So, like, with me addressing as Ngcobo, is it seen as like being respectful to, like, since we shut in, right? So, like, how do you prefer it mostly?
No, it's not Ngcobo.
Ngcobo.
Angakaphumi kulesi sibongo fully, so Ngcobo.
So, guys, as you can see, Ngcobo is our first guest on our episode, on our podcast. This is the second episode, and man, I'm so excited. We're gonna get to know more about Ngcobo, her story, her journey into matters of the spirit, because this podcast is mainly, wanting to focus on the matters that are contained in the spirit. So it's born is mainly, guys, but we are here to break down, some of the belief systems, principles, like everything that is but that is related to the spirit. Ngcobo, how are you feeling?
Sanbonani. As always, Mina, I'd like to pay homage to those I work with.
Yes, I've noticed that.
Usishilo, Ngwaba, Matendra,
Yeah.
Bayikhulu. Ithambo elimaniphu. Elanephu zayinja, yahluleka yalinephu zayanikeza eninja. Nayo leyo nja yahluleka umfazi owaliwa ngoshingishi. Thina singabosisho Matendra, abelungu abamnyama abawela ulwandle ngekhasi likabhanana. I work with Ogoba as well, Ogoba, Ombambo, Omakezangobisa, Machanga Samahle. Welcome to our podcast, everyone. This is the second episode, like Paul, Mr. Mahlasela has said.
Sir.
We just had a very interesting discussion with Ngcobo as to why we are calling her Ngcobo. As Zulus, when a woman is now married, she takes on a new surname, but we always pay respect to the surname she comes from. So Philile, I've known her for a couple of years now. One of the reasons I invited her to this podcast is because she's one of the most spiritual people I know, and she's quite versatile when it comes to the spirit. But I'll let her tell you guys the stories that she knows about the spirit, because Paul and I decided on this podcast because we want to teach people about the spirit. We want to teach people about culture and how people should learn to align themselves to their paths so that their lives can move forward. So I'm good to answer your question because you asked me how am I? I'm all right. I'm still very busy, but I feel very blessed.
Awesome.
So I just want to take the opportunity to thank Oma Polova, Amafuza Mashe. Those are the clan names of Ngcobo.
Mafuza Fulele. Mafuza Fulele.
Amafuza Fulele.
Just allow her to share herself.
Ngcobo.
Yeah.
Mapolobo mashiya mahle. Mafuza Fulele njengemvoli.
Yes.
Umaqeda mhlophe.
Thokozani.
Thina sibuya ngenkomo. Bafokazana babuya ngotshani.
Makhosi.
You guys are really putting the pressure on me. On my side, I guess I can say my names are a bit complicated. I'm still learning them.
Yeah.
But I was rehearsing at home, on how to open the show,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I wanted to say, that's your boy, Paul. Ngihamba noMahlasela, uHlasi, uOmedi, uMabele. Sijabula kamili.
Makhosi.
Thokozani.
Siyabonga.
Guys, please forgive Ngcobo. She's a bit shy. This is her first time.
First time.
She doesn't like cameras,
No.
so just forgive her. But Ngcobo, please get comfortable. Tell me how you're feeling today.
One, nervous. So Ukutimlo maze for a couple of years.
Yes.
Ungcelile. Last minute bengimbuza something.
Yeah.
Wangicela ukuthi ngize. I was like, okay, fine. I'll try this.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
sing it out.
Thank you for honoring the invite. Thank you for being here. It means a lot. You are literally our first guest.
Oh, thanks. What an honor.
Yeah.
What an honor. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Awesome, man.
Thank you.
So, to kick off things on a very light note before we get much more deeper, let's just get to know you, man. In terms of like, how did you come about your spiritual journey and, having to be aligned with ancestors? Because I was just saying earlier on before we started shooting that a lot of people, they regard ancestors as demons because of what they believe in. Whether they may be Christians, they may be, and I'm not calling any shot to anyone who may be watching, like this episode, who is Christian, who is Muslim. But I'm just saying, because for me, Nkulu, believing in ancestors also, I feel like there's a sense of it sounding wrong when I say you believe in ancestors, because of ancestors themselves, like they don't want to be believed in. It's just a matter of like acknowledging their existence and their presence in your life because they serve as angels. So, what is your thought on that?
I think we started on this before cameras rolled in.
Yeah.
So mina, nikule very traditional home. Besiya Sontweni, no. Ngihlala right next to Sondo, but never been there. Been to Catholic boarding schools, and that was okay. So I've been exposed to quite a bit of religion.
So you're a recovering Catholic?
No. No, I'm not. I'm not Catholic. I'm not anything. So I've been in a space where there is a lot of religions, right? I worked in a Christian environment for some time. I've read, I've dabbled, all types of religion. Do I think there's one that outweighs the other? No. Do I think, and again, I'm going to use the word think and believe because it's my perspective.
Yeah.
I don't believe that there is one religion that towers over other religions.
Yeah.
I don't believe that if you believe in one, it means the others are invalid. Yes, I don't believe in that. Because umuwabheka all religions across all spaces, there are so many similarities throughout.
Yeah.
Right? The basis of most of them is love one another. Don't do harm.
Yeah.
Whether people want to agree with it or acknowledge it or not, the whole basis is you need to respect and also acknowledge those that are before you. If you look on the Christianity side of things, you'd find one where it says that one begot the other one and that one begot the other one, which is exactly the same if you turn that and you go traditional.
Yeah, genealogy.
Yes, because you say that even ibongo zakho, ithakazelo zakho is exactly that.
Yeah.
So then when people now westernize things, it becomes like such a terrible thing to do.
Yeah.
Then it's the exact same thing that you do, So for me, I don't do that. Whatever you believe in, hey, if it works for you, Siyakubongela. Do I? Yes, I've gotten to a point where I take a lot of time where I meditate.
Nice.
I do that.
A lot of black people struggle with that, eh?
It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Umuqala, the minute you tell ukuthi yabona ke manje sengiyafocus ke manje. I'm bringing myself toward myself type of thing.
Yes.
Then ingqondo iyahamba, hey, you haven't done this, you haven't done that, you haven't done that.
Yeah.
Then, it's all about that. And the whole point of meditation is to align yourself. Eqaleni, earlier we were talking about the elements that you were saying, we don't know, so it's body, mind, spirit.
Yeah.
And I said, I think there's a fourth one, which is nature.
Yeah.
Because yonke into esiyenzayo in life, it's like even the time when you meditate. The earlier you meditate, the easier it is.
Yeah.
Right?
In silence.
In silence.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, it's got to do with nature, because when it's not really dark, but when it's early enough, you have that time to actually connect with the atmosphere, connect with the time, makes life easier. And then bese kuba khona laba uthola ukuthi umebenza izinto like ukuphahla.
Yeah.
Ukuphahla nayo kuyangena lapho.
Correct.
Kuney'khathi izinto ekumele zenziwe ngayo. That all connects back to nature.
Yeah.
But now I think abantu are so westernized that ezinye izinto we brush off and not really take into consideration the whole connective, I say, thread of it all, right? Beka umuntu wesifazane, we say they go on periods.
Yeah.
It's 28 days.
Yeah.
ngesiZulu kuyathi uye usesikhathini.
Yeah.
Ngasiphi isikhathi? It happens after 28 days.
Correct.
Wow.
That's a whole cycle of the moon.
And that is nature.
Yeah.
It's nature. It's the whole cycle of the moon.
Yeah.
Nendlela umuntu bangabe emithe or expecting, it's a whole 9 months.
Yeah.
All of those things, they intertwine and they connect. Whether you believe it or not, it's there. It happens on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So.
And I like what you just said, because people tend to say, you know what, I don't want to believe in this, I don't want to believe in that, I'd rather believe in this.
Yeah.
But exactly what you just said, some things are there whether you believe them or not.
Nature is so.
Yeah.
Mkulu, I just want to say, when you introduce Ms. Ngcobo to me, you're like, she's the most spiritual person that you know. Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I see that now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But like just when you were speaking about this journey, like I think you said something quite intriguing for me. And I just want to understand, where do you stand now? Because you are not in a cult, you're not in a belief system, you're not a Christian. Where are you, girl?
Umlo and I fight about this almost every time.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, you need to read this. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Honestly, I don't want to conform myself into saying, I'm Christian, what? No, I don't want to. I know who guide me. I know the people that are with me. I know when izinto zingahambi right, I know what I need to do to connect with the higher power. Does that mean now I need to say, oh no, Christianity doesn't work, it's only that? No, I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, if I need to speak to someone, I contact the people that are guiding me. He's one of the ones I bug.
So my living ancestor as well.
He's one of the people that I bug, and vice versa. But no, I don't want to box myself.
I did get to that point also, with my journey. Because I started off like Upostili, like the school, became a tab. Then I became a Christian, then I became Upostili, and then I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna follow African spirituality, because it's all about spirituality at the end of the day. based on what Mangnobo is saying, she spoke of like she's saying that there are people that she goes to, in order for us to connect to the higher power.
Yeah.
Like according to your understanding, because most of us, we get a lot like a lot of teachings and knowledge from your end.
No. Maybe let me clarify something.
Yeah.
What I said is, I know people to go to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If I am praying or Ukuphahla or whatever I'm doing,
Yeah.
I call on my ancestors to help me, plead with me to the higher power.
Spirit guides.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't pray to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I converse with them. Right? And I ask them. There's a difference. And I think sometimes I want to have this thing of umuti, you believe in your ancestors. They have this notion of umuti, you pray
To ancestors.
to your ancestors, right?
Yeah.
Prayer.
Not necessarily prayer. You see, that's where for me English becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Because
There is no word that's connected says what is it?
Umuntu uyaphahla, umuntu automatically thinks you're praying. Yes, it is a part of prayer, but it's not exactly prayer.
Yeah.
Because uma ngihlala phansi ngilayitha la ngithi ngiyaphahla manje sikhuluma nabakithi ngizogogo nomkhulu. I'm not praying to them.
No.
Ngibacela ukuthi ngicela ngisizeni kunento kanje sengicela ningisize ukuthi kwenzeke ukuthi.
Yeah.
Then they take that what I've asked, they then take it to the higher power. Like that doesn't mean ukuthi mina ngithanda zabona. But because in English there is no other word, we say prayer.
So there's something that keeps popping up in your conversation. And I want to ask this to both of you. Is the reason behind belief systems, whether it's Christianity or whether it's Amadlozi, whatever it is the reason behind it because you want something? You keep saying, I connect with Amadlozi and I tell them that this is what's happening, now I want this. Is it so not necessarily solely based, but is one of the motivations for people to have a belief system to ask for something from the universe, from God, from source, from Amadlozi, or is there other reasons behind it? Why are people always saying Masegugubi when things are not good, then I go on your path. Masegugubi when things are not good, ngihamba ngiyohlola, to go and ask Guti, what's happening in my life? Or is there a way from your understanding, Pil? And I'm asking this for the people out there who are watching. I know my answer. Maybe my answer is not the same as yours, but I'm interested in finding out from both of you. Are we connecting with ancestors solely because we want something? Do you pass out of the blue and say,
of course. Of course.
Ubingelela amadlozi ala ekhaya ogogo nomkhulu.
Ngithi ngibingelele. Does it mean ukuthi bengimele ngize ngihlale phansi ngikhiphe icansi ngilayithe ikhandlela?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
But it means I acknowledged them as soon as I walked in.
Okay. But do you think the general populace out there?
Yeah.
I think it's because people are not taught correctly.
Yeah.
Right? And nakhona, from what I have seen and from my perspective, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But from what I've seen, it's because, again, it's the terminology that is not right. Right? So if utshela umuntu ukuthi ukuphahla and praying is the same thing, you've already distorted the message. Right?
Right.
Because umuphahla, there are different ways of phahla.
Yeah.
Ukuphahla basically means ukhuluma nabantu abangasekho or abakugadile.
Yeah.
Nakhona item ethi ancestors. For me, it's a bit of a tricky one because umuthi ancestors, you are only indicating laba uphuma kubona or uzalwe kubona.
Yes.
And then bese uyakhohlwa ukuthi as umuntu onsundu ngibeka kanjani umuntu onsundu kukhona le belief leyo ukuthi if you are umuntu onsundu and uphuma kumuntu onsundu, khona abagadile bakama wakho, khona abagadile bakababu wakho, right? Phezu kwalokho kuney'ngelosi ezikugadile ngesikhathi ufika emhlabeni, whether ukholelwa eBhayibhelini or not, or whatever the case is. Point is, ngesikhathi wenziwe emhlabeni, the creator, umdali, wakupha abantu abakugadile.
Correct. There's also spirit animals, by the way.
Yes.
The dragons we were talking about.
Sengiyasho ukuthi kukhona abantu abakugadile. So umuthi amadlozi kuphela uthini kubona? Because awubabali. Yayizwa leyo nto leyo.
Correct.
So awubabali bona. Ubala laba obaziyo. Ingakho ngiyaye ngithi mangabe ngiphahla ngiphuma endlini. Ngiphuma endlini hayi ngizonibona abantu abadala ngizonibona uma sengibuye ngendawo nokuthi. And we leave. Ngithe uma ngingena ngabingelela ngoba ngiphume la ngiphuma khona sengiza kwenye indawo. Before I walk in, I need to introduce myself. Ngisho ukuthi hayi sanibonani. Yabo. Uma ngithi sanibonani, even the term sanibonani.
Yes, it's plural.
Exactly. It's not a singular. It's a plural, but I'm one. But kune ngihamba nabo that I don't, people don't see. Now abantu hamba nabo, I don't see. So uma sinibingelela sithini sanibonana.
So English is limiting in that sense. When it says ancestors only, that word is not.
It's that's why ngithi wena Putimlu, it all goes back to how people were taught.
Correct.
Right? I've had, I don't want to bring that. I think we've had that conversation where I said, there are certain things that is uba nesikhathi meditating, uzibheka, uzisondeza nabantu ohamba nabo. There are so many things that get revealed. Does it mean now ukuthi sengimele ngisuke ngiyothwasa? No.
No. Not necessarily.
It doesn't mean that. It means that I have I found a way for me to be able to connect with the higher power. Because that's what a lot of people call it, right?
But you regard it to, like, if I'm hearing you correctly, you always regard, I don't know, what is that higher power you're talking about? Is it God? What is that higher power?
There's another. So for me, I do not believe that the God of the Bible and the Creator is exactly the same.
Ooh, now you're opening another can of worms.
But I don't want to go there. But to answer your point, that's why I always say the Creator. Because if you think about it, there are certain things that you create, even you without even realizing what you're creating them. Right? That's the Creator in you. That's your power as a human being, is to create. Be careful of what you say.
Because your word can come into life, like the word create.
Exactly. That's the power, that's your divine power to create your own reality.
Okay, let's crack this real quick. Just to crack it, because I'm just imagining this for the person watching. So I just want them to get the gist of where we're going to go with that episode. And I don't want to discuss a lot of topics and subtopics, and we end up not having
context.
Of like where we're going to go. Right. So I think we can just focus here on this topic alone, like the high power. Philile is saying that she doesn't think, or like, is it correct if I say you don't think but you don't believe?
I don't believe that
the God of the Bible is the same as the Creator.
Yes.
What are you talking about?
Okay. Before we delve deep into the God part, I wanted to tell you guys what I learned recently from a topic you guys touched on a couple of minutes ago. The issue of creating differences between belief systems and saying that if you believe in a madlozi, then you are not totally Christian. I learned a couple of weeks ago that the source of that or part of it, I'm not going to say the source of it, was a law or rules that were created by white people in 1879 after the War of Isandran. So imagine this. You're a white man, you come in with your Christian God, and Zulus who are savages and believe in ancestors as well as the creator, Umenzi in Zulu, or Umdali. Then they beat you in war. They don't have guns, they only have spears. You then say to yourself, as a white man, I need to separate these guys from their belief system. So ultimately, the whole concept of taking away culture from the black man in Africa was to make him lose his identity and lose his belief system so that he can be easily ruled.
Yeah.
Read about it. Msunduzi Rules, 1879. Now, I want to come back to the issue of God, the God in the Bible, and the God that we know. When I used to read the Bible as a child and I went to Sunday school and I would go to church, and I would see how God told the Israelites that they must kill women and children when they were getting into the promised land, Canaan. So I knew God from an early age. I was one of those weird ones. I think I said this in the first episode. And I kept saying when I read the Bible, hi man, this is not the same God I know. This is not the God that speaks to me. My God is loving. My God is sweet. He's the creator. He taught me to forgive my father who was abusive to me at an early age. Why would he say kill everyone? Now, when you start to do research and you look at where the Bible comes from, so part of the Bible comes from the Dead Sea Scrolls. Then you link it and you go backwards and you find the Sumerian tablets, which come from Mesopotamia. There you will learn about Enki, you will learn about En, you will learn about Adapa. Adapa was the first man, Adam. And the Sumerian tablets are more specific and accurate and descriptive, saying that actually God that you see in the Bible, well, not all chapters in the Bible. We spoke about this in the first episode. There's 19 chapters missing in the Bible. The full Bible is in Ethiopia. You start to sound crazy when you try to show people that no, part of the Bible is it's really a metaphor or some sort of analogies, not really history. When you say that, you start to be...
You sound off.
Yeah, it's like, what? What if I believe? So, when you read the Sumerian tablets, you learn that actually the gods that they speak of are actually aliens. Anunnaki, they call them. Yeah, which is sky people. And when you go deeper, it tells you about planet Nibiru, which is the ninth planet that NASA is trying to find. But Sumerian tablet will tell you about it. And it'll explain that this planet comes into orbit and it comes close to Earth, I believe every 360,000 years. And that's where we get the 360 system that we use, like the minutes, 60, 60, 60, everything. It comes from those aliens. They taught us that maths. Then there's a part where you learn that one of the ancient and original gods that the Canaanites were praying to, what's his name? What do we call God in the Bible? What's the other name, Philile? No, not Jehovah.
Is Jehovah is
Yahweh.
Yeah.
In the Sumerian tablets, you learn that Yahweh was another alien that branched off.
Putimlo, asibuyisa bona le izothatha.
Yeah. So this is where I rely on Paul, but I think I'm going too deep now. But I wanna answer your question. So me personally, I believe that there's a whole lot of truth in the Bible, but there's a whole lot of metaphors as well.
Yeah.
So when you read it, it's important that you meditate on it,
Yes.
and then you will find the truth. So there is God in the Bible, but you need to
Decipher on your own.
Yeah, the word is the Bible likes to use the word discern. You need to discern. You need to ask yourself. For example, Ezekiel had a vision where God came with the wheels, and he was sitting on the throne.
Yeah.
On there was those angels that are called the seraphim, and you're like, wait, why would God be driving around in a machine? It's his planet. He created this entire universe and all the universes in existence. The description in that verse really sounds like Ezekiel had an alien visitation, because he was even taken and he was given measurements of a temple that he needs to make. So there's a whole lot of information. There's books on that.
Yeah.
So I want to answer your question, but I feel like I'm going too far.
You're going too far.
So,
You're going way too far.
so I'm just going to say, I believe in God. I believe in angels. I believe in Amadlozi. But Mina, I'm lucky because I see them, right? So you're going to ask me, have I seen God? Well, our brains are not designed to understand the form of God. The number of times that I have seen God, I would ask the angel that has taken me, Guti, what is this? What are you showing me? And the angel said to me, it was Uriel, by the way, angel Uriel. He said to me, this is the source. This is who you call God. And I said, no. This can't be God. And he said, then the angel said to me, your brain is not designed to fully understand what God looks like. And I was like, oh, so this is God? And he said, yes. And at that time, I was in my meditation sessions. And just like Philile said, you do them early in the morning. I used to wake up at 4:30 to have a meditation session. I would go for a run for about 30 minutes, come back, do my meditation, have a pen and paper. And I did them in search of the truth. I would ask a question before I go in. Question like, God, I want to see the real world. I understand this is a construct. When we die, we go somewhere. Please show me the real world. And then things will happen, and then I'll see things with my eyes closed, and I will have visitations. One of the first angels that visited me was Zadkiel. Zadkiel is not mentioned in the Bible, but when you read the Quran and you read other books, Zadkiel is the angel that saved Isaac from being killed by his dad, Abraham, he's the one who brought the ram. So I want to go back to your question. Is the God in the Bible, like Philile said, the real God? And to make my answer short, because if this was an exam, I would have failed.
Yes, you would
have. Not all of it. And I've had this argument with my cousin before.
Yeah.
Not all of the God in the Bible is God.
So what about like an average person who may be watching this show? Right?
Yeah.
And like we have,
I hope I don't get cancelled.
I hope so too, eh? I hope so, because it's too early for us to get.
Yeah, it's too early. Too early.
But this shows how much there is to discover, like when it comes to spirit of the masses, I guess at this point. But back again to the average person watching this episode. You are saying that there is a God, but not everything in the Bible is completely true. So what about those diehard, devoted Christians who believe in the Bible so much that everything for them, please, what would you say about them?
Yo, it's not for me to say.
But what would you suggest though? Because I'm looking to help.
I think with everything, in life, you need to figure it out for yourself. I'm a strong believer in that. Would you figure things out for yourself? Because there's certain. For me, let me say that I don't want to. Yeah, just now. I don't even have a webpage. That's fine.
Okay, all right.
So, but for me, it's a whole thing of a person must just look for find their own way, find their own feet. Because if we don't, that's how people end up being in cults, in situations where you're like, at what point did you think it was okay? I think for me, it hurts me when you see people and then you see allegations, the pastor did this and the pastor abused that one and this one. You know what I mean? It's all because now that ability of a person to actually think for themselves, it's gone.
Yeah.
Because you're basically taking whatever that you are reading or someone is saying on the pulpit, you're taking that as the eat and be all,
Yeah.
It shouldn't happen like that.
Exactly.
We all have brains for a reason. Can we just use them?
I wanted to ask Philile, in her view, where does religion stop and culture comes in when it comes to African spirituality? Or is it together? Is there like a thin line, or is there an overlap, or what is your view?
That's a tricky one. Such a tricky one.
Yeah.
For me, religion has no space in the African spirituality because there is no outline in terms. Uma ngabe uyokwenza umsebenzi or wenza whatever ufuna ukuyenza ekhaya enwenzela abantu abadala.
But we had a religion system, you know that, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Right. But into engisho ukuthi uma ngabe usuka kuba no example njengoba kuSeptember uzoyiwa khona i-reed dance.
Yeah. Umkhosi womhlanga. Hey.
Before umkhosi womhlanga, then kulungiselelwa
uNomkhubulwane, correct.
Right? That was our religion, which was connected again to nature.
Yeah.
Right?
Nomkhubulwane is one of the 7 angels of God.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, abangazi. So
we spoke about it on the first episode.
So uma ngabe ubheka from lapho, Africans as a whole, abantu bakwantu angibeka kanjalo. Bebenendlela yokwenza izinto zabo.
Correct.
Right? Izinto zabo had nothing to do nesonto. Okay. Mangabe ubala usombuluko ngesibili lesithathu lesine lesihlanu kuphela.
6 days.
6 days.
There were no 7 days with us. Right.
Kuze kube imanje alikho igama leSunday kuthiwa isonto. Ukusonta ngesonto. Ukusonta ngesonto.
Yeah, to ukuvova, yeah.
Yeah.
To twist, yeah. Yeah.
Come up leyo nto. Angithi ngesikhathi kuqeda kuliwa lapha eSwandla akabe ngafuni ukuthi babe amakatolika or whatever it is. Bebephonswa phansi basontwe until bavuma.
Yeah.
So ibingekho into ekuthiwa isonto. Ingakho namhlanje uma ubheka nje all African languages alikekho ozothi iSunday or isonto like inegama lakhona.
We learn every day, Paul. Did you know that?
I did.
White people were cruel, eh?
I'm gonna leave that.
Okay, you can edit that out.
So, umsombuluko. Angithi kuthiwa yonke into inegama lakhona. Umsombuluko wenzani? You're starting,
yeah.
Siyasombuluka.
Yeah.
Umsombuluko. Siyasombuluka, uLwesibili, uLwesithathu. uLwesine, uLwesihlanu.
Right.
5.
Right.
Umgqibelo.
Right.
Siyagqibela.
Yeah.
Siyaqeda.
Yeah.
Siyaqeda, siyavala.
Yeah.
Ne? Siyavala. Silindele ukuthini? Sisombuluke futhi.
Yeah.
So-ke, you can't then uzongibuza nge-religion. I-religion yomuntu omnyama be connected again to nature.
Yeah.
That's why bengithi I understand ukuthi sizothi it's mind, body and spirit and not include
Nature. Right.
Because thina abantu abansundu yonke into yethu is connected to nature.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Kuyizube manje uthi uma ngabe ufika ekhaya ababusikile ukuthi they still have crows. Kuthiwa wenza khumbula icathulo uyongena phi?
Spying.
Why?
Kuyobingelela abaphansi.
Exactly. And but kumele uhambe ngeenyawo phansi
Correct.
ukuze babone ukuthi ususekhaya. So leyo nto leyo i-tradition esenziwa namanje abantu babe-contentiwa whether uyobika ingane ukuthi usunomntwana athathe ingane uyofaka esibayeni or whatever that case is.
Even now you're in you take your shoes off.
Yebo. But sengiyasho ukuthi zonke lezo zinto lezo for me angeke uzuyihlukanise uthi this is religion. This is tradition.
Yeah.
Because it all bekuyinto eyodwa. Yini enza ukuthi sihlukanise? Ngoba sesithole ezinye izinto from other
nations
ezingenzi, they've got nothing to do with us. But sisigcine sizenza our own.
Sure.
Yeah.
So if I'm getting you correctly, correct me, but I'm getting the sense that Philile is kind of saying culture for Black people was a way of life.
Yeah.
We never relied or needed religion for us, to have a way of life. Because of nowadays, it seems like religion is up there, talking like it's superior to everything else that could be there in the world, because it's said to help people with spirituality. And as Black people, according to our culture, according to our way of life, it aligned with our spirituality. Inkasi, like we had Inkasi for certain things, like when I'm doing this, it's like I'm relating to this to the nature part of things. Like everything dies out during winter and everything, like it's all about bush during summer, spring, everything, stuff like that. But now I think we did, spoke about it like on the last episode that because of again Apartheid, like a lot of our culture and who we are and our our grandparents, from back then, they had to let go of that and basonde into this new way of life. But now we are living in these times now, right?
Yeah.
Now, as we are living in these times, then there are certain churches that are quite helpful to other people. People, get help. People get help. People maybe some other people find success in those particular churches. Maybe they also get help with their spirituality, spiritual alignment, whatever the case may be, whatever that they have been benefiting from attending the church. So then, what are we saying then in this current, world that we're living in? Because this is the status quo that we are living in a world whereby churches are the ones that are actually helpful to the people. Like when it comes to that. Because Philile is saying that doesn't believe in religion, doesn't dabble in religion, but on the last episode, we did speak that there are other religions which are helpful, like Buddhism, but ultimately it's all about oneness.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
So I'm breathing because I'm trying to build a proper train of thought where I'm not gonna go very far.
Sure.
So your question is, there is a place for religion, right? Because there are churches that are very helpful.
Yeah.
Now, I want to go back to asking you, what are they helping people with?
Okay.
Is it a matter of helping them with a link to spirit? Or is it, when you say help, you're talking about outreach and churches that go and help orphans, like with the physical matters, the physical issues? How are they helping people when you say they are quite helpful?
Let's just focus it to helping people connect into the spirit.
To the spirit.
Because ultimately, like...
Correct. Right. Now, going back to what Philile said, people lost their culture. People lost their way of doing things and therefore lost the way they connected with spirit.
Mm.
And if you look right now, probably in the last 100 years, there's been a sort of, I call it an African ancestral renaissance. There's a lot more people who are spiritual. There's a lot more sangomas. There's a lot more African prophets, because we have to go back to spirit. Philile said, it doesn't matter what you use to connect to spirit. If it works for you, if church works for you, then that's fine.
Mm.
But a large number of people have issues in their lives because they've lost culture. They've lost that link Philile was just explaining now between culture and God. In my experience and the hundreds of people that I work with, when I heal them, I help them heal, most of them are having issues with culture. Immediately, when you say to a person, "Hambo Ukuphahla," and you teach them how to phahla, and you teach them how to do something that's cultural, that will connect them to their spirit guides and their ancestors. The person would come to me, they don't have a job. The person would come to me, they've been wanting to have a child for years. But immediately when they connect to their ancestors in the proper way, things happen, right? Yes, there is still that stigma around my work as a healer. So people won't say that I got help, la parasish. They will always say, no, Mina, I don't do izinto zamadlozi. But they come. They come to see us as healers. And we show them the way, and 90% of the time, the way is because people have lost things that they were doing. Ama forefathers abo. Now, yes, there are churches that are good. But mark my words, in the next 100 years, a lot more Africans are going to respect culture, because that's what ancestors are doing. They are pushing it in a way that you will go from church to church, you will change religions from Hinduism to Islam, but you still need to do cultural things.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. So, Putim Lo, from just like you pray, fundi Bible, as well as you practice traditional stuff.
Yeah.
For you, do you when you're talking to someone who's never dabbled into this, and they come to you and they say, where do I fall between the two? What is your take to a person? Because you use both.
Yeah.
So, to someone who only uses either or, what would be your advice to them?
Okay. So, Mina, my advice to people is always based on what the spirit guides that you work with are saying to me about this person. So there is no one size fits all. So if you Philile figured Mina, and Philile says, Mina, I grew up in a church system. I grew up under Christianity. I was told that we don't slaughter at home. We don't follow these cultural things. And then I say to you, okay, but Philile, your great-great-great-grandmother on your mother's side is telling me that the reason why things are not working out for you is because you guys have never been cleansed when someone passes on. Oh, okay. So, Mkulu, you're telling me that if I get cleansed, I'm going to be fine. And I'm like, well, once you start being cleansed, know that you're opening a can of worms. There's going to be more other things that are going to come up that were never done. For example, your daughter, the coming of age tradition was never done for you. Umemulo was never done. Just things are not done. Maybe you are closer and your son has never gone entabeni. So ancestors are saying that this needs to happen. So when we are not following our cultural norms, it creates a level of what I call generational curses that needs to be fixed.
Because you live behind loopholes.
Yes. So why do I read the Bible?
That was my next question.
And I slaughter at the same time. And my daughter is now finally coming around. She's asked me to do umhlonyane for her next year. I do it because this is how my spirit guides raised me. Do you understand? So my spiritual journey can't be the same as Paul's, and it can't be the same as yours. So Mina, from a young age, my exposure to spirit, I grew up in a haunted house where AMM Laz. And I realized that I'm different when I saw two ghosts in the house. And I asked my parents and I said, wait, hold on, whose children are these? And my mom was like, what are you talking about? And my dad was like, Kalile foot. So, so I then realized, wait, so I'm different, right? Then years went on, I got introduced to angels. So the angels that are in the Bible, I have been exposed to them. So they introduced themselves to me one by one. So they then taught me that I can also call upon them as well as my ancestors. The angels said, yes, sharp. Your ancestors are also important. You know, so the angels didn't say to me, stop culture. They said, no, your ancestors are important. And they said, they are also important because they are also a link to God. And they said, Jesus is also important. But the Jesus that is painted in the Bible is not the Jesus that you know, that you should know. Right?
So this question.
So that's why I do both, because I've been exposed to both. And I think, Philile, I told you before that at one point I was taken on a journey of Hinduism where I observed it for about 3 or 4 years. Then after that, I had another dream where I was told, oh, welcome to the Muslim class. And I was like, what? Right, okay. And the lady there was writing in Arabic and I understood it. So I then went into Islam and learned about it. I even have a Quran in this house. Then they said, okay, come back now and be a Sangoma. Twasa manje. And I was like, what? Me? Twasa? And I twasad. Right? And I finished. When I was finished, about 2 years later, I was then told, stop the Sangoma thing. Be a prophet now. Right? But just like you said earlier on, you don't like to box yourself. I also don't. As much as my grandmother, my mom's mom, came to me in a dream and said, I'm a prophet, I feel more like a spiritualist than a prophet. So when I read the Bible, I read it because an angel told me I must read the Bible. So that's why.
Okay.
That was quite interesting.
No. Here's what's more interesting. There's a process, it's called Ukuphahla.
Yeah.
Istunya is like, in English, really limits us, guys. But
AKA messenger.
but I call it an angelic messenger.
Yes, a messenger.
But it's not an angelic messenger. Istunya is something else. It's quite deep. So I can help you raise Istunya Sako so that you can be linked to it and then you can work. Now, recently, because I normally help people with that, recently I had a Muslim client, a Muslim patient. Amadlozake, oh God, didn't care about her Muslim. They'll be like, Tina, Osninda Banale Islamiak. Tina, we want what we want. Mkulu, kupulis tunyasak. So I'm like, okay, great, Bokoko. How do I do this? Because usually we use the Bible, Maskupulis Tunga, we use Christianity. So how am I going to raise this Tunya as a Muslim? Right? Oh, guys, then I had to pray because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure what to do.
Yeah.
Then a voice just came to me and said, we gave you the Quran, didn't we? And I was like, oh, okay, so I'm going to appeal to Allah to raise this Tunya Salokok. And we did it. The same way I do it with the Bible.
Wow.
We opened the Quran, we prayed via the Quran to Allah, then ngamfake pavin ngamgeza, la kupulis Tunya Saki. And it worked. She's working now. She's a prophet now.
Wow.
But she's Muslim. Yes.
So what does that mean? Like, what could it mean? Like, for people who like to differentiate the two religions?
It means exactly what Philile said. Let us stop boxing these things. They're all one.
Because like we also discussed it like on the first episode, you were telling us about your journey, you studying all these religions, you know, stuff like that. Guys, let's just pause it there. Philile, what are your last thoughts before I close it?
I have a question for Philile.
No.
In closing, sorry.
Why are you becoming shy just towards the end?
I have a question for you. It's a simple question. What is your definition of living a fulfilled life?
Ooh. Okay.
That's a loaded question.
Yes.
For me, it's know that you've lived well. By living well, I mean, you know you've done what you were supposed to do in this world. You've loved. And you gave it your all in life. And nothing tops that. Because it doesn't matter if you're struggling, you don't struggle. If you live well, you know, when you pass on, you leave your kids with all that you've given.
Amen.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Sorry, you can close, Paul.
And I also got touched by that, you know, because I started asking myself the same question.
Please don't cry.
I'll try not to. Hey man, it's been a wonderful episode. Thank you. No. For joining us today. Thank you.
No more.
Thank you for also watching the episode. Please like, subscribe, and leave your comment on certain things that we discuss, certain topics, your thoughts. We'd like to hear from you. And yeah, the next episode is going to be an exciting one because we have this other guy, man. I don't want to spoil it for you, man. But I'm looking forward for that episode. He's in the room, he's in the studio. Oh no. Okay, it's not a studio. It's in the room with us. He's going to be joining us on the next episode. We're going to be discussing a lot, so you better look out for that one. Thank you. Peace, love, and greatness.